You probably had this question in your head for a long time. Who is Sunny's father? And what happened to him? The identity of Sunny's father was never revealed in the series, leaving it as one of the unresolved mysteries in the franchise. Sunny, Olga's child, was featured in 3 Metal Gear games: Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, and Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. None of these games mentioned who the father is. There were rumors that Kojima Productions' game, Metal Gear Solid Rising, was supposed to address the question of who her father could be. The events of that game were initially set to occur between Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 4. However, the game was cancelled, and development was shifted to Platinum Games, with the story taking place after Metal Gear Solid 4. The mystery surrounding the identity of Sunny's father adds to the series' narrative depth, allowing for speculations and interpretation. Hideo Kojima, the creator of the Metal Gear franchise, intentionally left many elements open-ended, encouraging players to think outside of the box and form their own theories about the franchise's unanswered questions. Because of this, various theories have emerged about who Sunny's father might be. However, there is one particular wild theory that stands out, and while it might seem absurd, it actually makes a surprising amount of sense when you consider it. Before we can discuss the theory itself, let's talk about Sunny first. Sunny is the daughter of Olga Gurlukovich, who first appears in Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Olga was involved in taking over the tanker with her father, Colonel Sergei Gurlukovich, who was a close friend of Shalashaska, aka Revolver Ocelot. Olga was pregnant during the tanker incident. After the ship was secured, her father ordered her to leave for her safety and the safety of her unborn child. But she refused, insisting she wanted to stay with the unit and continue the mission. Sergei reminded her that she was carrying his grandchild and demanded she leaves. But Olga still refused and waved away the helicopter meant to pick her up. This is when Solid Snake showed up, leading to a fight where Snake ultimately defeated her. After the tanker sank, Olga was rescued by Snake. She later joined the Russian Mafia in the United States with the rest of her men. But it turned out the Mafia was controlled by the Patriots, who used it to keep an eye on her. When Olga went into labor, she went to a hospital not realizing it was ran by the Patriots. After giving birth, her child was taken hostage, forcing Olga to serve the Patriots. She never got to see her child, only receiving pictures of her child every month. She didn't even know the gender of her child. After the Big Shell incident, Raiden managed to rescue Olga's child with help from Big Mama. Raiden then left the child in the care of Solid Snake and Arakan, who raised her aboard the Nomad. They named her Sunny, and Arakan later adopted her, giving her the full name Sunny Emmerich. Sunny was a child prodigy. She helped build the Metal Gear Mark II and developed the Fox Alive virus, which was crucial in shutting down the Patriots' AI system in Metal Gear Solid 4. Sunny makes a return in Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, where she helps Raiden by giving him access to the MAC-23 RLV aircraft, which allowed him to travel to Pakistan in just 30 minutes. You might have noticed that ever since Sunny was introduced, there hasn't been a single mention of her actual father. So, who is Sunny's real father? By looking at what we know, especially from the tanker incident, we can make the assumption that Olga's father, Sergei Gurlukovich, really cared about his unborn grandchild, so much that it makes you wonder, what if things aren't as straightforward as they seem? And this is where the wild theory comes in. Now, before I dive in, keep in mind that this is just a wild theory I stumbled upon on the internet a long time ago. It might be completely wrong and easily debunked, but it is intriguing because it fits with how Kojima's mind works and how his stories are crafted. Alright, here we go. I don't think Sunny's father actually exists. I think Sunny might actually be a clone, a third-generation product of the Les Enfants Terribles project. The Les Enfants Terribles project started in 1970, and 2 years later, They created the first ever clones of Big Boss, David and Eli, Solid Snake, and Liquid Snake. They were the first generation of the Les Enfants Terribles project. The second generation led to George Sears' Solidus Snake. Solidus was the perfect clone of Big Boss, who was the Patriots' ideal clone. Because of this, he was entrusted to be the United States President under the name of George Sears. But, just like Big Boss, Solidus ended up rebelling against the Patriots. Since the Patriots have already achieved their goal of perfectly cloning Big Boss, they decided to clone someone else. They wanted to clone the person who inspired Big Boss, which is the Boss. This would have been the third generation of the Les Enfants Terribles project, but the project was shut down in 1976 before any results were achieved. Now, here's where things get interesting. Ocelot, being a member of the Patriots, got his hands on some of the work related to this third generation. During the Cold War, Ocelot met and became friends with Sergei Gurlukovich, who was the head of Spetsnaz. Sergei had only one daughter, Olga. Driven by his intense patriotism and desire to restore Mother Russia to her former glory at any cost, Sergei did the unthinkable. Along with Ocelot, they secretly continued the research on the third generation of the Les Enfants Terribles project. They created an embryo with the boss's genetics information and implanted it into Olga in 2007. And thus, Sonny was born during the events of Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. It is unknown what Gurlukovich plans to do with a clone of the boss in the grand scheme of things, but I assume he wanted to use Olga's child as an asset, a tool of war. If the tanker mission had succeeded and Gurlukovich had acquired Metal Gear Ray, he might have seen Olga's child as the ideal candidate to pilot it in the future, as the children of the Les Enfants Terribles project having a heightened and natural aptitude with piloting vehicles. And this is where the theory makes sense to me, especially considering the emphasis on genetic lineage and its impact on combat abilities in the Metal Gear series. Gurlukovich's potential plan to use Olga's child as an asset could be tied to this idea. Given the success of the Les Enfants Terribles project in producing individuals with exceptional combat skills, it is plausible that Gurlukovich intended Olga's child for a similar purpose. This also would align with the overarching themes in the Metal Gear series, where characters are often manipulated and used as tools in the greater machinations of war and power. The idea that Olga's child, potentially inheriting the piloting aptitude seen in the Les Enfants Terribles children, could be a crucial part of the Gurlukovich's long-term strategy, which might add depth to the potential narrative. However, the mission ended up in failure, and the rest is history. In the end, Sonny in Metal Gear Solid 4 managed to create Fox Alive from MS Virus, which shut down the Patriots' AI system while keeping society intact. This aligns with what the boss truly wanted, to make the world whole again. In a way, Sonny fulfilled the boss's wish, alongside Snake and Otacon, by freeing the world from the Patriots' control. Looks like she still have the genetic legacy of the boss, but with exceptional skills in computers and video games. Although this is a very wild theory with no real basis, whether it makes sense or not is up to you. Personally, I love theories like this. It is the kind of thinking that comes from being a huge fan of the series and getting trained by Kojima with each new game to come up with wild ideas in general. Some people hate these kind of theories and prefer to stick strictly to the facts, but I see them as a good thing, a sign of a healthy fan base and a vibrant community. In my opinion, when people keeps talking about different aspects of the Metal Gear franchise years after the games have came out, it is one of the best kinds of word-of-mouth advertising a company could ask for. As long as people keeps talking, it is free marketing. The moment people stop talking, that's when franchises start to die. Hopefully, Konami realizes the value of having such an engaged community and fan base for the Metal Gear series. So, what do you think of this theory? Crazy, huh? Tell me what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day. Or maybe Gurlukovich is the actual father. He probably consumed too much vodka one day and then decided to, you know what, let's not get into that.